That's right. That's right. Yeah, don't put me behind some felt.
Right. So it was great that it was in there, but just, I actually,
Yeah.
I mean, it was fine, right, because it really was like kind of a sidebar.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that happened already? Or okay, okay.
No, it's real bad. That's right.
Lord Hudson. I was waiting for that to happen. I saw the show on the way in.
I get to hang with all the boys. I get to hang with all the boys. No, I got.
Welcome to this public meeting of the Princeton Board of Education. The board is an elected, unpaid group of 10 citizens who set policy and make decisions on educational, financial, and personnel matters for the Princeton Public Schools on behalf of all residents. We're always pleased when members of the public attend our meetings. The board and the school district operate under applicable New Jersey laws and under regulations of the New Jersey State Board of Education. Each meeting includes an opportunity for those attending to comment on items on the published agenda or other matters of interest to them. The board reserves the right to limit the time allotted for public participation. Law limits discussion of individual personnel and confidential matters. We hope our meetings provide useful opportunities for communication between the board and the community. Thank you for attending.
As required under the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 1046 et sequentia, adequate notice was given for calling this meeting. It was authorized by the Board of Education and forwarded to the municipal clerk, Princeton Packet, and the Trenton Times on January 6, 2024. It was distributed to the schools and others on the standard distribution list. The board reserves the right to enter into executive session during all meetings of the Board of Education. Board Policy 168, recording devices, requires that we inform those attending this in-person meeting that the proceedings are being recorded. This meeting is being live streamed. The representative of the sending district is authorized to vote on such matters that affect sending district students or affect the governance of the Princeton Public Schools, as more specifically designated in NJSA 18A38.1. Sending district votes pertaining to personnel actions refer to high school, central administrative, and district-wide staff only. Votes otherwise are considered abstentions. In the event the statute is amended, the law should take precedence over this bylaw.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Would you please call the roll?
Sure. Daphne Kendall,
Here.
Betsy Baglio,
Here.
Beth Barron,
Here.
Adam Bierman, Debbie Bronfeld,
Here.
Mara Franceschi,
Here.
Eleanor Hubbard,
Here.
Susan Cantor,
Here.
Brian McDonald,
Present.
Rob Christopher. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Okay, so we're going to go to item D1, adoption of the minutes for January 2nd, 2024. Can I get a motion, Brian? Second, Beth?
Daphne Kendall,
Yes.
Betsy Baglio,
Yes.
Beth Barron,
Yes.
Adam Bierman,
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld,
Yes.
Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Welcome everyone to our meeting tonight. Before we get started, I would just like to take a brief moment of silence. A big supporter of our schools and the former CEO of the Princeton Area Community Foundation passed away yesterday at a very young age, and I would just like to take a moment of silence. He was a big supporter of our schools, and he'll be missed. Thank you. So one of the things that we love to do here at the board is we'd like to keep the focus on kids. That's why we're all here. So tonight, I'm pleased to introduce the middle school principal, Jason Burr, and his teacher, one of his teachers, Kelly Riley, who will be presenting on 7th grade entrepreneurship.
Good evening, everyone. So first, I love the way you just introduced that, Ms. Kendall. You know, keeping the focus on kids, it's the most important part of the work that we do at Princeton Middle School. I'm very lucky to have so many fantastic teachers. So when I get a chance to come up here and thank them for their hard work with our kids, I love to do that. Tonight, especially, I bring somebody up with me, Miss Kelly Riley, who I've known for 14 years and just does outstanding work with kids, which I think we're really happy to share with you tonight. So without any further delay, I'd like to introduce Ms. Riley, who I'm indebted to for all of her hard work.
Hi. Let's see if I can read my thing here. So I've been at the middle school for 20 years teaching technology, and as you can imagine, it's evolved. So we are now in our entrepreneurship days. So I brought along three talented seventh graders who took this project above and beyond, but highlight really the focus of what all the other children have been doing as well. Just a quick overview before I turn it over to this spectacular group. The course focuses on Standard 9, which is career readiness and life literacies, as well as Standard 8 and design thinking. Students spend the first 2 months learning the basics of being an entrepreneur and experience lessons on character traits and skills. They learn simple marketing, finance through profit equations, basic design, and the power of creating a brand. Students are then grouped based on a variety of skills and interests and tasked with creating a small business. They spend several weeks self-paced to prepare for the launch of their business in the main commons. Ultimately, students sell their products before and after school. They keep track of the profits, they build a website, and select a charity to donate their earnings to. They write a formal letter at the end to the nonprofit with a check enclosed and share a professional website with their class highlighting their experience. Next semester, I'm also happy to share that we will collaborate with Ms. Donzi's SERVE classes, and her students will continue the research and present the recommendations in addition to creating PSAs to our students to continue the collaboration. This past winter, our students earned profits of $4,300. Yeah. And they'll do that twice a year. 20 organizations have been gifted with their earnings. Some of those are Share My Meals, Princeton Food Pantry, St. Jude's, American Cancer Society, and Homefront. Yeah. And as I turn it over, I will say, coming in early and staying late for students with a ton of work to do, nobody forces them. They can just do this, keep it in school, but they go above and beyond. And what tends to happen is they don't want to stop once they sell out. They get a rush from the experience. And these groups here got that rush. And wait till you hear their amazing work. So I'm going to first introduce Ray and Raj.
I'm Ray Amada,
And I'm Raj Subramaniam.
and we are two students from 7th grade technology entrepreneurship class. In this class, we were tasked to make a business and sell the products we made in the beginning of October. We also chose which organization to donate after we made money by selling our products to our school.
For our group, we made an ornament business called Peaceful Crafts and Ornaments, and we decided to donate to SAVE, a nonprofit organization that supports homeless pets. We made ornaments out of 3D print and origami. I sold items in neighborhood early to test out if the products could sell and made around $300. We sold for the week in school, both in and after school. For our business, we sold around $400 worth of items in school, which we made around $700 in the whole project. Over the course of this week, we learned many skills like working productively in a group, problem solving, showing creativity, more life skills that are very important.
So we have some products that we made. So for origami products, this is one of our ornaments, a bird chain. And this is one of the products as well, a flower.
For 3D printed objects, one of our best-selling objects is the cool snowman, and the other is the Christmas tree.
And now we are handing over the microphone to Phoebe Callahan to talk about her project.
Should I start? Okay. Hi, I'm Phoebe Callahan, and I'm a 7th grade entrepreneurship student at Princeton Middle School. My partner and I created a brownie business that supports the Trevor Project, an organization that supports LGBTQ+ lives. In class, we learned a variety of lessons to build our business and entrepreneurship skills. Some of the things I learned included communication skills, time management skills, negotiation skills, and of course, marketing skills. In total, we earned profits of $1,165 for both our in-school and out-of-school selling. Our product was homemade brownies, and I was the website designer and chief financial officer. I also baked the Nutella and s'mores brownies, which were our two most popular products. My partner Lila was the product developer and chief marketing officer, and she also helped with the website, among other things. My favorite part of the class was overcoming my fear of talking with customers and realizing my strengths to earn a profit and help others. I really enjoyed making customers happy because of something I was able to provide for them. Thank you to Miss Riley for giving us this amazing experience. And of course, I need to thank my partner Lila because I never could have done it without her.
So Phoebe, no samples for the board? No? Next time. And I know. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing everything you're doing. And, when you're on Shark Tank, please wear Princeton Public Schools gear. Thank you. Yep, go ahead.
Hi, I just want to thank you so much for being here. Our favorite thing as board members is when we get to hear from our students. So we really, really appreciate it. And we appreciate your staff, your principal and your teacher being here as well. Can I ask the three of you a question, or one of you could answer? You effectively started a business. What's something that surprised you about the process that you couldn't have? Come right up to the microphone if something surprised you.
I mean, basically how much we made in total surprised us.
Go ahead. Did you have something too?
How popular it was, because I thought nobody was going to buy from us and just walk past and not say anything. But it turned out our business was really popular, both of our businesses.
That's wonderful. And
The amount we had to remake and make more products.
okay, you all had success. Well, thanks so much for contributing to our community as well. Thank you so much.
All right, well, thank you for joining us tonight. And thank you to Mr. Burr, Miss Riley. Now go home so you can get up early tomorrow. All right, now we are moving on to the superintendent's report.
Yes, and thank you, students, Ms. Riley and Mr. Burr, for giving voice to students and encouraging them to really stretch themselves and challenge themselves to create. That's wonderful. So, among other things, every year, the New Jersey School Boards Association identifies January as School Board Recognition Month. So I want to take the time to express our deep gratitude for all of our board members for their service to our students and to the Princeton community. Authority, remember, is only granted to the board as a whole, yet each one of our board members contributes and offers a unique perspective. Now, fun fact, according to a survey conducted by the National School Boards Association, board members spend between 11 and 50 hours a month on board-related duties. Princeton board members are actively engaged on a variety of committees, including policy, student achievement, operations, personnel, long-term planning, equity, and negotiations. Based on experience, I can tell you that each of our board members devote countless hours of volunteer service every week. Much of this time is dedicated to reading policies, reviewing curriculum, evaluating various documents related to budget, facilities, transportation, and personnel. Each of the 10 members whom you elected offer a wealth of expertise and experience from the professional arena. And many members have or have had children in our schools. Now, did you know that a few of our board members are lifelong educators? Others served for many years in the field of finance. We also have 2 attorneys, because you can't have just one, and an author. Because each member brings unique insight and personal perspective, the whole board engages in robust and healthy debate while wrestling with very complex issues, weighing consequences, and making thoughtful decisions for the district. As one who has been part of difficult deliberations, I can say with complete confidence that each of our board members is committed to putting our students first. It's an honor and privilege to work with each of you. Thank you, Daphne, Betsy, Debbie, Susan, Beth, Brian, Mara, Rob, and our newest members, Eleanor and Adam. Thank you for your willingness to spend countless volunteer hours to serve the approximate 3,800 students of Princeton. Thank you for bringing your passion, intellect, insight, and resources to the table. Thank you for listening as well as speaking, for raising questions, wondering, and challenging your fellow board members and me. This important back and forth enables us to make strong and well-reasoned decisions for the sake of our children and the Princeton school community. We appreciate your abiding service, your loyalty, your leadership, and your guidance. Thank you for always putting our kids first.
Thank you, Kathy. That was very nice.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kim Tu, who's going to talk about a portrait of a graduate.
Okay. Oh, that's my daughter. Sorry, everyone. That's not the presentation tonight. Good evening, everyone. I just want to echo Kathy's sentiment. Thank you to the board for all the service that you do. My husband always contemplates going for a board seat in our home township, and I'm going, do you really know what you're getting into? I can share. So tonight, it was such a pleasure to hear from Raj, Phoebe, and Ray about their entrepreneurship class, because it truly embodies our Princeton as a portrait of a graduate skills. So we have our forward focus, I always do that backwards, strategic plan that takes us into 2028. We have our State of a District event on Monday night. Please come out. That will highlight all the different aspects of how we're fulfilling the strategic plan for the next few years. And a key aspect of it includes our PPS portrait of a graduate skills. So what are they? So here you see that as a collective community and part of the strategic plan process, we have identified in Princeton 6 skills that we really value here. They include critical thinker, informed and involved global citizen, curious learner, health and wellness advocate, collaborative communicator, and creative innovator. But this isn't something that we just didn't want to, talk about and then say, oh, we really value these things and kind of put them in a drawer. What we started doing over the past summer with a committee of educators and administrators across our district is to really define, well, what does it look like to be a curious learner in pre-K and kindergarten versus 5th grade versus 8th grade versus 12th grade, right? Because it looks very different. So we kind of split out these different skills and we created progressions for them. So under each indicator or each skill are indicators that say, listens actively to understand different points of view, for example, for a collaborative and communicative student. We created rationales to say, why do we feel that this is important for our PPS students to embody? We talked about as leaders and as educators, how are we giving kids opportunities to have these skills in the classroom, to practice them, to receive feedback upon them. And then we did that by the end of grade 3, by the end of grade 5, by the end of grade 8, and by the end of grade 12, what it should look like. So we're going to be rolling these out to staff. We were supposed to do that at our February 16th Professional Development Day. That got delayed because of our snow. It will be now happening in April. And they will be diving into, well, what does it look like in a middle school, literacy class, digital literacy class? What does it look like in a 3rd grade classroom? Does it look like in AP physics? How are we intentionally teaching these skills? Because obviously the content is important. I'm the curriculum person. Standards are very important. But ultimately, isn't that what we want to see our kids be able to do today? That ingenuity, that innovation, that communication, right? That they'll take them places out in the real world. So how are we then providing intentional instruction and feedback on those skills throughout our pre-K through 12 experience? And so we're going to be starting to launch a plan with our educators to do just that. So we did things in different buckets. We created those continuum across the grade levels. We also, as part of our committee, have developed instructional resources for our staff so that they can say, hey, this is a great resource for elementary about how to give kids feedback on communication or how to challenge them to have a growth mindset. We are in the process of cultivating to each skill and sub-indicator, as well as rubrics and self-assessment tools. I really enjoyed that Betsy asked the students, well, what did you learn? Because ultimately that is what we want kids to do. We want them to reflect on their learning. That is the learning. And so that they can self-assess and say, I think I wasn't taking enough risks. Often we see kids so anxious nowadays because they want to get the 100 all the time. Everything is black and white. But how can we kind of push their thinking and challenge them to take risks? We do that so well. I'm looking at one of our elementary educators in the classroom, one of our STEAM teachers. She really does a phenomenal job of pushing kids in their thinking and doing project-based learning and problem-based learning, right? But that needs to happen across all grade levels and across all content areas. One of the other buckets that you're going to hear a lot about is that we want a visual representation of these skills in all of our classrooms to remind our students that no matter what the learning objective of the day is, whatever content you're learning, that these 6 skills are what we want them to embody upon graduation. And so what we're going to do is have a student art contest because once again, students first. We want the students' representation of these 6 skills. So on March 1st, during elementary morning meetings, during pause at the middle school, and during extended homeroom at the high school, we are going to be rolling out this portrait of a graduate art contest for students. Our PTOs have graciously said that they would each donate a $25 gift card because we're going to have a winner per building. There are 6 schools and there are 6 skills. And then we're going to have them come to a board meeting and present their image. They can make it digitally. They can draw it. It can be sort of an icon of what they think, an innovator looks like, what they think a communicator looks like. And it's all going to come together in a puzzle piece. This is designed by Mr. Pembleton from the high school, one of our art teachers. And in the center, there's going to kind of be a PPS logo with a graduation cap in there. Then we're going to create posters of this image and have it across the entire district in every instructional space and every office. Because if this is what we value, we're giving it real estate. We want to show that this is what we care about so that students see, oh, wow, there is a connection between math and science and English and history and art and music and so forth and so on, that we're all trying to funnel up to these greater umbrellas of skills. And then we're going to be tying this yearly to our strategic plan. So we're going to this year identify the skills and kind of work with teachers to say, how do we already do this? How do we intentionally do this? And how do we give feedback upon with kids on these skills? Then next year, we're going to have what teachers have what's called a professional development plan, a PDP. They're going to pick one of the 6 skills to focus on in their classroom and in their department. And they're going to have with their administrator work through, well, Kim, you chose communicative collaborator. How are you doing that in your social studies class? How are you giving kids feedback on how well they work in groups or how well they speak in presentations? What rubrics are you using? What resources are you using? And then kind of collectively seeing the data that we're giving kids feedback on. Then the year after, we're going to continue with the PDP goal and providing targeted feedback to students with one of the 6 skills. Then the year after that, we're going to do a student growth objective. So that's teachers have to, through the state, design assessments measuring skills and content that we value so that they would pick one of the skills to, design a rubric around and show growth in that skill over the course of the year that students have mastered. A lot of our teachers already do this. It just might not be one of these explicit 6 skills. And then finally, we're going to continue to look at the data and show comparatively from this year to 27, 28, all the different wonderful things that our students have been exposed to and get feedback from students and surveys about how they feel the explicit instruction has worked, on their own growth and student learning. And technically, we also could talk about like authentic project-based learning experiences so that they demonstrate to an audience from the community some of the different skills that they've honed over the past 5 years. So there's been a lot of, work done. There's still a lot of work to do, but stay tuned to our public that we will be sending out information the first week of March to encourage your student to participate in our art contest. We want representation from every age group and from every building. Kids can pick 1 skill to submit. They can pick 6 skills to submit. But we really want a really robust representation from across our community. And then, they get a nice little gift. They'll have their art sort of memorialized throughout our district, and they get to come to a lovely board meeting, right? And be honored subsequently. And I just would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to our committee. This is a phenomenal team of educators. And one of the things that kept coming up as we were having conversations throughout the summer and this school year is they're like, we wish we did this more. We wish we got to talk to staff from other buildings and other grade levels and other content areas. And so it really helped unite folks in a common vision and a goal. And once again, we all have different roles, but we're all moving in the same direction. And part of our strategic plan, which I know Dr. Foster is going to do some updates about the specific goals of that plan, is the portrait of the graduate skills portion. So thank you for your time and attention. We're really excited about this work and, much more to come. Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Tu. Dr. Foster, did you have anything else?
No, that's
No?
it for
Okay.
me. I think I'm doing HIB in a minute, right? Under something else? Under government.
Oh, yeah, we have, yeah. So right now, we're going to go to the student board members report with our student reps, Oliver and Alex. Oh,
Oh,
Press it. Okay, cool. So, are we good?
you can.
Oh no, we don't have a computer.
Oh,
It's just our script,
oh,
our
it
notes,
looks like
yeah.
you want to connect.
No. Happy New Year. Alex and I are, as always, are excited to be here. We wanted to start our conversation with this new board, both by running through some quick updates on our side of things and also sharing a student-centered perspective on some recent going-ons at PHS.
Yeah, so let's start with PHS news. Right before break, Princeton High School held its winter concert at the University Chapel. That's the choir specifically, showcasing the talents of, hundreds of artists in our school. That includes the choir, that includes the orchestra, that includes, lots of student art groups and the performing arts as a whole. And it was really amazing. There were hundreds of people who showed up, including dozens of PHS alumni. And the concert served as a great reminder of the power of field trips, wink, wink, longtime followers of the Alex Oliver liaisonship, but also the power of PHS's elective courses to tie the school together, which we think is really cool.
For seniors, unfortunately, the holidays also come with a more mixed bag. College decisions and applications. Although the college process is stressful and nerve-wracking, we wanted to thank our school guidance counselors, teachers, and Ms. Shaw, the college and careers counselor, for their help throughout the process.
Yeah. For sure. Other notable happenings at PHS this month include, of course, the flurry, no pun intended, of snow days, which left a lot of kids feeling refreshed coming into the end of the second marking period, in the high school specifically. It was by no means a given that the district would opt to call off school altogether during these 2 days rather than, kind of drag us into online classrooms. And Oliver and I think that the decision to give kids a chance to catch up on sleep and play in the snow and do all of those restorative activities was a really good one. And we're super thankful for that.
Moving on to more liaison-specific news, Alex and I have currently been meeting with administrators to work on improving field trip access and equity. Currently, we're working on updating the field trip Canvas page, open to students and teachers alike, to help them better navigate the field trip process.
Yeah, we took a brief break as the board reshuffled, but we're back now and we're super excited to work with you all and you all. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. And I just want to add that Dr. Foster is wonderful, but she hasn't found out a way to make it snow.
You're a talented, entertaining, and informative duo. I think you can make anything interesting.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Up next is our first public comment session. I have a list of people who signed up, so we'll go there first. But this is your time to talk to us about anything. You have 3 minutes. Please, yeah, that's, oh, great. It's been over a month. Please just let me know your name and the street that you live on, please, and the town, the street you live on in the town. Thank you. And up first is Thomas Perk. Right there, yep.
Thank you, Board. Good afternoon. My name is Thomas Perk. I live on Chestnut Street. I have 3 children in Princeton schools. We just recently moved from New York City to here. My husband and I have moved to Princeton for a quieter life, more in the suburbs, and we're very pleased with the board's responsiveness and the academic standards of the school, particularly Princeton Middle School. I joke that it's like an annex of Princeton University, how plummy it is. What has been troubling me as a same-sex parent of 3 children is the unrelenting intimidation of children and by some members of the audience who are here who continue to intimidate the most vulnerable in our community, the most vulnerable children, and also targeting groups that have been have received death threats in the past, have reported death threats and intimidation. They are claiming to be that they're anti-woke, but they are choosing to intimidate children, middle-aged men who are intimidating children who are the most vulnerable in the community. I don't care about your attitude. I don't care about your opinions about this organization. Don't talk to children. Don't intimidate children. Don't speak to children. Go away from children. We don't do that to your children. You don't even have a child in Princeton Middle School, but you choose to intimidate children and you address them, you talk to them. It's unacceptable. If you don't like the school district, or the school board.
Mr. Park?
Yep.
I'm sorry, Thomas. I don't know what your pronouns are.
If they don't like it, they can
Please
move.
direct your comments to us.
Thank you.
Yep.
They can move to a school district in Tennessee or Texas that's more favorable to their opinions, or they can send their children to private school. Do not talk to children. Do not talk to my children. Do not talk and intimidate any children, because that's what you're doing. You think you're being noble and righteous and self-important, but all you're doing is intimidating the weakest in the community, including groups of people who have received death threats and have been targeted. And if you don't understand that, I can't explain it to you. All I'm here to say is, don't forget my face, because I don't accept it, and it's unacceptable, and we won't allow it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, we have Ray Yamada up next. Oh, Ray? Okay, Chris Potts? Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Chris Potts, Poe Road. My children are at Little Brook. I'm here to express support for the parents' letter that was submitted on behalf of Little Brook families regarding the facilities at Little Brook and the expansion plans for the elementaries in the district. I support everything that the letter says, and I know that it's always difficult to project enrollment, but I want to just draw attention to a couple of things and want to ensure that this board is working in concert with the city of Princeton in its zoning decisions, which I understand are totally out of your control, and the city of Princeton's tax decisions, which take dollars away from this board when it comes to zoning for mixed-use apartments in almost exclusively in the Little Brook district, which we fully support. However, needs to be reflected in this board's plans for the elementaries. And with the construction plan that was just announced, I fear that you are not adequately addressing even today's needs, but let alone 2028's needs when the construction is done, of new enrollments in the district. Currently, with the plans that you've put forward, it will still be either third or maybe fourth in terms of square foot per student. One of my children has an IEP and currently does small group instruction, very critical to children who have IEPs in the hallways and wherever they can find it. And the plan that you've put forward has small group rooms, which is great, but it's taking away square footage from kindergarten rooms, and they're windowless. And you're sending children who need desperate attention in IEP, often have learning disabilities and ADHD, and sending them to windowless solitary confinement rooms. This plan, while addresses some of the issues, misses on many. And another big issue that we want to make sure is highlighted is the plumbing concerns. I know Little Brook, as well as many of the buildings, had lead in the 2022 report, and doesn't seem like it's being addressed in the construction plan, and should be. The realistic modernization of the building as well, not just adding square footage, but addressing the facilities as core, is critical to the safety and success of all of our students. So I'll give back all my time, but want to just support that Little Brook seems to be the small school that is being left out. We have fantastic faculty. Mr. Ramirez is a shining star of this district, and we need to give them the facilities to actually teach our children.
Thank you. So we are going to read the letter that was sent to us, but we'll read it after we go through the list of public comment here. Rob Walzer is up next.
Thanks. Rob Walzer of Mount Lucas Road. I have 2 children at Littlebrook. So Chris, I want to just second, he said he took 3/4 of the words that I was about to say. So that's awesome. A couple things though, I just want to add to that. So, our gym space, it's not going to be quite as big as, say CP, who is supposed to in the future plan have that same student count. And so already we're on the small side there. And then on top of that, we're going to add a divider to split it in half. I'm not sure how many of you have gotten a chance to be in the Littlebrook gym, but just imagining cutting that in half. When I walked in there the other day, I was like, wow, that's a really small gym that our children are going to be having to, have their gym class in. On the same note of play space for our kids. So outside, we're actually removing some of the outside structures or the play structures under the new plan, which in and of itself is concerning, but it also does nothing to address the blacktop space we have, which is necessary because of our flooding issues. We also have many days, the day after a day when it rains, as well as maybe a day after that, where our kids can't go on the grass. So they have to only go on the blacktop, which means some of the grades on a given day can't go out for recess because there's just not physically enough room. So that's a big concern that we need to figure out as well. I also am wondering, about what we are doing in the next 3 years. So before this is done, we have no music room, no Spanish, health, computer science, no room for any of these things. There's kids who are taking the NJSLA makeups in the lobbies and in the hallways. My wife had a parent-teacher conference in the lobby of the school simply because there was nowhere else for them to go. So I'm just wondering if we're worrying at all about what's going on in the next few years. On the opposite side of that, I'm wondering also, are we thinking about the long term for all 4 schools? And are we making them big enough so that in 5-7 years, we're not having this exact same conversation about how we can increase the school size and make everything adequate for everyone? So I think it's just important. I think where we're going is definitely the right direction, but Littlebrook's expansion in and of itself is smaller than, say, CP, where, again, we're trying to have the same number of students. Also for myself, so although I have 2 children in Littlebrook, I'm actually in the CP district. And when we had moved, my daughter was too old and couldn't attend the dual language program. So we wound up at Littlebrook, which has been wonderful. In the future plan, it sounds like there's a good chance I may be a future CP parent, which is great. But so in that same note, in no way am I thinking we should, CP shouldn't get as much. I just want to make sure we're making sure all the schools are getting what they need adequately.
Okay, well, thank you. And I want you to know that, we've received the letter and we're going to be sharing it with our planners and, we will take all that feedback into account before we have a final plan.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Luke Alberts.
Good evening. I'm Luke Alberts, Grover Avenue, and one of the said middle-aged men standing in front of Princeton Middle School, allegedly talking to children. To the parent who said as much, which children have I spoken with?
Mr. Alberts,
and
please.
When?
Mr. Alberts, please direct your comments to the board.
This is bogus. I'm not going to defend my position here. If you're curious, all of which can be featured in this week's Town Topics. I'm here rejecting a big section of the High Tops curriculum, namely their position on intersectionality and that all relationships are struggles for power. This is not an ideology that belongs in middle schools. This might be reserved for law schools, but as long as this remains, I will continue and I will be in front of the school, and I will give interviews. And again, Mr. Park, if you really have a problem with me, Mr. Perk, my apologies. If you do,
Mr. Albert,
then you
Mr.
should
Albert,
speak with me
Mr. Albert.
afterward.
Mr. Albert.
And bring your list of these children whom I have allegedly, or my partners has allegedly spoken with. Nonsense.
Mr. Albert.
I'm done.
Well, I wanted to ask you, I wanted to share a story with you really quick. So I was at one of the elementary schools last week, and a mother came up to me, a mother of color, and she said, I want to share the story with you. And so she has a 7th grade girl.
Mhm.
And she said her daughter came home, and she was, scared. And she asked her mother if she should hide.
Hide from what? From whom? From you. From me.
So I just, all I want to say
Is that who she's hiding from? From me?
well, I'm just sharing what was relayed to me, and and let me finish.
And
You have
the
a
point of
right.
this.
You have a right to protest, but I would ask that maybe you consider protesting in front of the Valley Road building right here. This is where the decision's made. It's not made at the middle school.
Well, I'm here right now, aren't I?
Yep. Thank you. Junglin Chen.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
All right, we're done.
They need to get out. They need to get out.
Yeah, I think you need to be kicked from the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Let's not do that here, please.
No.
So, Mr. Alberts, please, we welcome your point of view and we welcome Mr. Perk's point of view. But if you get up again like that, I'm going to have you removed from the meeting. And I really don't want to do that. So please stay in your seat.
Good. Okay. My name is Zhonglian Chen, Macomb Road, Princeton. I'm here to speak about the high tops curriculum called intersectionality, privilege, and microaggression that's being pushed onto our middle school students. We're here to ensure our kids get an education that meets state mandates and respect the value of our community, not to indoctrinate them with divisive ideologies. The state mandate we're supposed to follow emphasize diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're about understanding and respecting different culture and backgrounds. But what High Tops is offering is far from this. Their curriculum isn't about exploration and appreciation. It's about dividing our kids into categories of privileged and oppressed. This isn't a departure from our mandates. It's a complete contradiction. The backbone of the High Tops curriculum is troubling. It's steeped in theories like critical theory, postmodernism, critical race theory, and queer theory. These aren't just academic concepts. They're loaded with ideological baggages. They promote division and conflict, teaching our kids to see each other not as individuals, but as representative of oppressive or oppressed groups. This isn't education, it's indoctrination. What's the end goal of pushing these theories onto middle schoolers? Is it to make them question and dismantle the very fabric of our society as preached in these ideologies? But at what cost? We're risking the creation of perpetual conflict, pitting one identity against another. For what? So that our country can be divided and weakened? This content is not suitable for middle school students. It's complex, it's contentious, and frankly, it's not what our kids need to be learning at this stage of their lives.
Thank you.
Parents, we need to take a stand against this. Our children deserve an education that builds them up. Teacher, teach them respect and understanding and prepare them for the real world. Not one that tears them down and divide them. It's time to reject the High Tops curriculum and look for alternatives that truly align with our state mandates and our community value. For those interested in further details on points I've raised, visit prepyes.org, prepyes.org, where you can find more in-depth explanation regarding this issue.
Thank you. Up next is Ho Yoon Lee. Did I say your name right? Okay. Good. Sorry to keep you waiting. You should have gone first.
Don't worry about it. You
Okay.
can call me Theo if that's easier.
Theo?
Yeah, sure. I'm just here to talk about Mr. Ferguson. I had him junior year, so last year for Calc AB. When I transferred to this district in 10th grade, I was supposed to be in Pre-Calc XL, but because of issues with the teacher that I was assigned, Miss Tesaro, who was later fired, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, the system doesn't allow me to take Calc BC because based on the system, I can't go up a class anymore because due to that issue, I had to drop down a level for math. So from the point of view of how the system works with like choosing courses, I was basically not offered the opportunity to learn BC materials when I really wanted to take that course last year. But I was really fortunate to have Mr. Ferguson as my math teacher last year because he offered me the opportunity that the school wasn't able to provide me because of its systems. And he gave me his time essentially near the end of the year to learn the extra materials essentially like at the end of the curriculum for that's not covered in AB so that I could take the BC exam, and I did quite well. Just to kind of tell you that Mr. Ferguson is really dedicated to the stuff that he teaches. And apart from that, I also had a friend who was in regular calc, and I think it's really impressive that as a calc teacher, he's so dedicated to what he teaches that he's not just like a good teacher for the advanced classes. He's able to make enough of like a thing for people who are in the regular classes as well to make the subject itself be like worthwhile for them to learn, regardless of what level that they're learning at. And he's really dedicated to the things that he's teaching. And I was really appreciative of, I mean, I don't really know who's responsible for directly like picking out who gets to be like the teacher or anything at the school, but I really appreciated that Princeton High School has the opportunity to have a teacher like him. And when I heard about what happened, I was actually really surprised because like there's a lot of rumors going around. There's a lot of like, I don't know what exactly is like happened. There's not a lot of like, you know, objective truths or whatever. But what I wanted to provide was just based on my experience, how valuable of a person he is we can have at our school. And also just about how sometimes I think having a person who's that dedicated to the things that he is teaching, it is sometimes frustrating to have people who are not as dedicated to learning the things that he's trying to teach them. And I think it's important that you look at both sides.
Thank you. And now, is there anyone else who would like to come and speak on any issue? Oh, okay.
I'm Hee-Sung Jung. I'm living in Ban Drive. I'm Phil's mom. Actually, I'm not a native speaker, as you can recognize, so my English is not perfect. I'm here to support Mr. Fergus because we immigrated here for my daughter's education. Actually, I didn't like the Asian education, especially science and math. My daughter was so much advanced to the science, but unfortunately, her math was not that advanced. It was quite unbalanced. So when she took the AP chemistry, she should learn math, calculus from AP Chem teacher because she didn't take the calculus. But even though we immigrated here to California, we found that American math was Asianized. It was not math, it was computation, just numbering, calculating. So we were very disappointed and decided to move to East Coast and we moved to Princeton. But she could not find a perfect match. But last year, she finally met great teacher. My philosophy about the math is not numbering. Math is reasoning and thinking. The mathematics is close to philosophy. It's not just technology. It's kind of the science, social science. I cannot find the right term for the thing. Actually, Mr. Ferguson was the right person teaching the math in right way. He helped students think about the math. So, but it's really difficult to change all the system already happened in here. Everyone is accustomed to just numbering and calculating. So some students didn't want to think because they are not accustomed to it. But my daughter was taught math at home by me. I didn't teach. I just support her, let her think about it. I didn't give her the answer. I just let her just think about it. That's it. Even though she was not advanced to the math, she had some kind of the power for thinking. I'm so proud of that point, even though she was not really great math student. And Mr. Ferguson found that thing, that fact, and he supported so much. I really appreciate.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think you have to think about that point. That some students probably don't like him, but there is some students who really need his teaching.
Can you please wrap up?
Yeah, so I want to tell you, the majority, even though the majority of students don't like him or feel uncomfortable, probably some of the students really need him, and we need to keep him.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lee. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Friend? Okay.
Sign up officially.
Well, we take all comers here.
Okay.
Just, if you please just state your name, who you are, how long you've been here.
I've taught her kids, so she can speak to me like that. Yeah. Martha Friend, 976 Lawrence Road. I live in Lawrence now. Grew up in Princeton, lived here for many, many years. Went through the school district myself. Taught at Littlebrook for 30 years, if I didn't say that. And my 3 kids, my youngest just graduated this last year.
You're still at Littlebrook, right?
Still,
Yeah,
always.
all right,
always.
just making sure.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't realize we were talking about Mr. Ferguson. My daughter had Mr. Ferguson and gave him such a run for his money because she wasn't used to thinking like he was asking her to. But in fact, in her calculus class at school, she was one of the thinkers there, and she thanked him for that. So I want to just throw that out there. I had to step away because my eldest is in the National Guard and was deployed on Friday, and he just called me. So I missed hearing our protesters speak. But I do want to just thank the board, thank the district for trusting your educators, for knowing educators would never allow lessons that harm students, for thinking about all of your students, all of your families, and that matters greatly. You are elected here because our board at least, because we know that you have the good sense to know that you have these amazing educators in this district and administrators, and you support them in the best decisions that they can make. And so I just want to thank you for that, because a lot of this is, I think, about a lack of trust in public schools. And so you guys are showing that you want to just build up this school system, that you trust your educators in decisions they make. So just wanted to say that, and to just point out that some of these fabulous 7th graders I think it was the Brownie. I don't remember the name of her company, but it was about more love. They had that on the website. More love, right? That's what it's all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Is there anyone else for public comment right now?
Okay, sure, yeah. I'll jump in here for a second. I want to be clear that I'm speaking here not on behalf of the student body, not filling my student liaison shoes, but instead speaking from my personal experience with Mr. Ferguson. I was lucky enough to have him as my calculus teacher last year, and from the very first day, it was clear to me that he is a special kind of teacher. He's animated, he's kind, he's passionate about learning in a way that I think can't help but cause his students to become passionate about learning as well. From what I can see, PHS is extraordinarily lucky to have Mr. Ferguson. I've shared many a conversation with students who are also in his classes, and we always remark on his generosity, his engagement with material at hand, the hours and hours he pours into this learning community. I'll share one quick anecdote. Last year, Mr. Ferguson took 5 hours out of his Saturday morning to administer practice AP exams for his calculus classes and talk through any questions that his students had. Dozens of kids, around 40 as far as I remember, I'm not sure about the exact number, showed up to what was effectively an optional 5-hour-long weekend math camp, and they were all excited to be there. I don't want to negate the experiences of my peers, but with that being said, I feel confident, I cannot fathom a situation in which Mr. Ferguson would intentionally cause physical or emotional harm to a student. It just doesn't square out with me. I've talked to him. I feel like once you share a conversation with the guy, you can see the genuine passion he has for helping kids learn. And I hope that PHS recognizes the positive impact he's had on our school community and on our learners in the last year and a half. Thank you.
No, I didn't have Mr. Ferguson, so I don't know what's going on.
Is there anyone else for public comment? Come up to the microphone, please, and state your name and where your address.
Sorry, I didn't sign up, but I just want to echo your comments. I'm sorry, my name is Shen Wei Zhang, living 640 Prospect Avenue. Some of you may recognize me. I'm a critics to the BOE in the past few years for quite a few things. I agree with you that the BOE and the PPS administrator in general needs to rebuild the trust from the public for many things. I mean, a lot of us participate this process in the past year. There are so many things went through last year with the firing of the principal in the middle of the school year, and then the things happens in the after school program, and then the math curriculum, which get some of the board members elected through the election. And then there are also something related to the leaving of the last superintendent. Things do happen. And I do think that in the past few years that many people, myself included, that the district or the BOE generally ignored the public. I mean, we had hundreds of people participate during the principal firing episode. The support was overwhelming, but for whatever reason, that person was still fired. It had impact, right? Whatever also the student that had, I hope the BOE recognize that whatever your decision is, it has impact to the community, and sometimes it has impact at personal level. The abrupt leave of the superintendent, I think at least that shows the BOE did not do their due diligence when doing the hiring, right? There are rumors. I don't know if it's rumors or it's for the reason of her hiring. But there's one thing I know for sure, that what she brings in, or the decision of the BOE hiring her brings in, was the not a very stable environment for the children, for the student. That's, I believe, what the BOE needs to do, focus on not something that divide the community. This high top hiring thing, I agree the sex education LGBTQ community needs to be protected and needs to be discussed. Those are the topic. But the intersectionality, from my personal experience, from my cultural experience, that's not something that we should bring to children at this age. So that's just my a few minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public? Now we have another public comment later, but Mr. Bolden is going to read that letter that we got this morning from many parents from Littlebrook School.
Dear Princeton Board of Education members, Littlebrook parents have reviewed the proposed expansion plans and would like to offer our feedback. Littlebrook is presently pinched for space, and we're concerned that Littlebrook students will continue to be squeezed into an insufficient building under the new plan. Among the district's 4 elementary schools, Littlebrook currently has the greatest number of students and the smallest building. The proposed plan would bring Littlebrook roughly up to the current square footage of Johnson Park. For perspective, if the plan is for Littlebrook and CP to serve the same number of students, we would like to know the justification for spending nearly double to create one school that is more than 25% larger than all the others. Key disparities in proposed plan: the proposed new classrooms are 100 square feet smaller at Littlebrook than the proposed new classrooms at CP. What is the research for the disparity? Under the proposed plan, the Littlebrook Gymnasium will be 200 square feet smaller than the CP Gymnasium. Further, it will require a divider, so Littlebrook students could effectively have half the gym space as the rest of the students in the district. The proposed plan at Littlebrook includes creating small windowless learning space, i.e. small group rooms by partitioning off kindergarten rooms. A similar pre-existing space is better suited for storage than for students. Meanwhile, the proposed plan at CP includes 2 large 720 square foot small group rooms with windows. Other concerns: we'd like to see a firm commitment to increase parking at Littlebrook upon expansion. The current parking lot does not service the staff we have today. We'd like to see a firm commitment to improving the outdoor play space at Littlebrook. The current plan would involve removing a large, albeit outdated, play structure. We are opposed to any expansion plan that adds more students to fewer playground structures. Additionally, due to flooding issues at Littlebrook, many days are limited to blacktop-only recess. Any plans should prioritize a sufficient amount of blacktop outdoor play space for each child using the space at one time. Currently, there are no flex spaces at Littlebrook. Teachers spend their prep hours in the school lobby. Students are taking makeup, NJSLA tests, and CML tests in the main lobby because there's no other large enough available space. We don't see that the proposed plan fixes these issues. The plan does not address current plumbing problems that exist in a part of the school. An old sanitation pipe runs on top of some classrooms, causing bad odors in the affected classrooms and the front office. Updated plumbing should be a priority when trying to add on to the current space. Magnolia Lane is a small residential road. Prior to expansion, will the district study the impact of adding more daily traffic to this road? Today, Littlebrook students do not have a dedicated music room, nor Spanish room, nor health, nor computer science. Littlebrook students receive occupational therapy services in the hallways and cafeteria. We are pleased that there will be a large music room in the plan. However, there will be three full school years until that time. We request that the district make interim enrollment decisions that better balance out the 4 elementary schools so that Littlebrook students can receive equal education opportunities. Thank you for allowing us to participate in this planning process and to bring forward our concerns for future Littlebrook students. Thank you. Signed by numerous parents. It looks like somewhere around 30 or so.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. All right, now moving on, going back to the agenda, we're going harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And then item I2, harassment, intimidation, and bullying hearing. Can I get a motion? Mara, second Debbie.
Daphne Kendall?
Yes.
Betsy Baglio?
Yes.
Beth Barron?
Yes.
Adam Bierman? Debbie Bronfeld?
Yes.
Mara Franceschi?
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard?
Yes.
Susan Cantor?
Yes.
Brian McDonald?
Yes.
Rob Christopher?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Okay, moving on to J1 governance, and I will turn that back over to Dr. Foster for the semi-annual student safety data report from September to December.
Good evening, everyone, again. This is a requirement for the state of New Jersey to report on student safety data. And if you can see, it's just a quick overview of these are the incidents that take place, and there are definitions for each of them. And you can kind of compare year to year. And then it shows whether there was an increase or a decrease. This is obviously data that building administrators take a look at. and raise questions, do their research, and obviously think about how to prevent create a safe environment, prevent more incidents from happening. And that can include professional development for teachers first, to talk about what does that look like safety in the classroom. It can talk about students understanding HIB laws, understanding bullying, understanding conflict, how to resolve conflict, maybe more love. Yeah, exactly. And so this is just a report that we have to share with the public. What I can say is I know we will ask and wonder a lot of questions internally with our administrative team.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Foster. It does look like things have leveled out. 13, 14 is high still, but it's been much higher. So, yeah.
That's a great, because one of the things we hear a word violence, and first of all, we do take it seriously. I'm not diminishing it, but that would be like fights between students usually is where that is identified.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dr. Foster. Any other questions from the board?
Looks good to me compared to other schools. It's quite low. And I think comparatively to a lot of schools in New Jersey.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on now to the committee reports, and we are going to start with long-term planning with Susan. Susan will be giving the report tonight.
I am. I'm new to be a co-chair to long-term planning. My report will be very short, as we met on Thursday, January 25th at 5 p.m. We received an update from the administration and the architects as they continue to refine plans at PMS, Community Park, and Littlebrook. The team continues to take feedback, like we did today, from the public, from members of the public, from school teams, and we had a board discussion as they continue to develop plans. We're hoping it's possible that on February 6th at our budget meeting that they'll be able to present potentially updates to where they stand as they continue to develop the plan for our district. So we appreciate when people send in feedback to the plan. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Is that meeting in person or online? I don't know.
It's the budget meeting?
The 6th?
The 6th?
The budget meeting?
We're in person.
We're in person.
Okay,
Yeah.
and at 6 o'clock?
7:30.
7:30? Okay.
What?
Live and in person, please come join us
So
for
not
our,
just a budget meeting, potentially
our budget
updating
workshop, but
jobs.
also an update to the long-term planning for anyone who's interested. We'd love to have everyone come join us.
Thank you.
That's after February 5th, which is our State of the District. So as long as I'm plugging, I've got to plug the State of the District. So please come 6 to 8, Princeton High School.
Thank you, Dr. Foster. And the best entrance to enter is the PAC, right? I think.
Actually, no.
No? Okay.
So I'm glad you asked.
I would have done it in the PAC.
It's an
still
expo
might.
style, so it really would make more sense if you come in through the front, the tower, because all of the expo tables will be in what we call the new wing, which is how many years old now? A few years old.
Yeah, 4
but
years. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be great. And we also have live performance.
Okay, great. Well, I think I'm going to have a friend go in the front entrance, and I'm going to go in the PAC entrance, and we'll see who gets her first. All right. Thank you. Next up is operations. Brian is going to give the report.
Yes, sorry, it's not as short as many people would like. The Operations Committee met for 2 hours by Zoom on Wednesday, January 17th at 8 in the morning. And just a reminder that Operations was created 3 years ago by merging the Finance and Facilities Committees, and our main administrative point of contact is Matt Bolden, our business administrator. We received an update on the 2022 and 2023 referendum projects. In the 2022 referendum, the projects continue to go well, and we are under budget. Matt will be updating the budget for us at our next meeting. The Princeton High School, Princeton Middle School, Johnson Park, and a small portion of the Riverside roofs are all moving forward and will be replaced this summer, with some work beginning sooner. For approval tonight is the elementary school HVAC project, which came in very close to budget with escalation. These are primarily rooftop units at CP, LB, and Riverside, and pending equipment availability, the work will be done over the summer. In the 2023 referendum, 3 separate bid packages have gone out for the cafeteria. This is all at the high school: the cafeteria, the security vestibules, the doors, and the hardware. We reviewed a non-referendum facilities project at Princeton High School that would be paid for out of our maintenance reserve. This is the renovation of the old Princeton High School training room, which, when complete, will free up 1 classroom and create additional training space. We then discussed sustainability with Jenny Ludmer from Sustainable Princeton. This month, we fully roll out a district-wide energy efficiency campaign to engage students, teachers, and staff as energy stewards, reducing energy usage throughout the district. Planning for rooftop solar arrays is underway, and those projects may commence in 2025 once all of the roof work has been completed. 4 schools have received certification from Sustainable Jersey, and the remaining 2 are applying for certification. I'm going to skip a couple of things. We then went into closed session. We then went into closed session and met with representatives from Dyntech Services regarding the upgrade of the 10 gigabit network. This is a lot of work that includes, among other things, new Cisco switches, extensive new and replacement cabling, and additional Wi-Fi access points. This was a very thorough discussion, and the project is on tonight's agenda for approval with the recommendation of the Operations Committee. We then met with the district's auditors, Nisovachia, and discussed the audit, the ACFR, which is the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, and the AMR, the Auditor's Management Report. There were no findings requiring action, and they were very complimentary of Matt, Janine, and the business office. This is on the agenda for... Thank you. This is on the agenda for approval tonight with the recommendation of the committee. Finally, received a brief update on the budget. Internally, a lot of work and many meetings are taking place, and this will be a topic for the committee and the board beginning next week and for the next 3 months. We next meet on Wednesday, February 7th at 8 in the morning.
Thank you, Brian.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the classroom that you guys were talking about, is that near anything? Like, to me, the training is like in the bowels for school. Oh, okay. Oh, they're not near each other.
Well,
Oh,
remember?
okay. Okay.
So the original training space is in the lowest level, and there are a number of issues with it, and they needed to create a new space.
Okay.
Borrowed a classroom, so they'll be renovating the original training space and giving it a lot, bringing it much more up to date.
Okay.
And that will free up the classroom that had been the classroom.
Oh, fabulous. Okay, I wasn't sure if the classroom was down. No. Yeah. Oh, so it's near the classrooms. Thank you.
With the boilers, could they be retrofitted, boilers? And also, there's going to be people on the ground to oversee and accountability in the summertime to make sure everything goes as smoothly as possible.
Yes, that's the accountability I'll take first. That's a great question. Our New Roads Construction, our construction manager, will have 2 people on site among the 6 buildings at all times. So right now we have 1, but during the summer, the heavy season, there will be 2, and they can pull in more people if they need to. That's in addition to the whole project team and the architects who also are around and about, but 2 full-time project managers. With respect to the boilers, Matt, I know we have work going on at the elementary schools, and that is something that is also being contemplated for the referendum that is prospective. But Matt can talk about boiler replacement and whether rehabbing or replacing makes the most sense.
Well, if we're talking about the elementary schools, we're still waiting final award under the PSE&G direct install program. So we're hopeful that should be in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
So we're anxious to move forward on that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Okay, moving on now to personnel with Mara.
The Personnel Committee met at 8:15 on Thursday, January 25th. We discussed a variety of topics, including the transition to a new communication group, which the district hopes will streamline the communications process and lead to cost savings. And approval is on tonight's agenda. We also discussed next steps in finding a replacement for our current interim Assistant Superintendent of HR, Rebecca Gold. Sadly, we have no more extensions allowed. So she does have to leave us. So her last day will be June 30th, and we are working to find a suitable replacement. Big shoes to fill. Also on tonight's agenda, we have Lauren Friedman's transition to the tenure track position of PHS Assistant Principal that's being vacated by Dr. Mantuano.
Dr. M.
Dr. M, thank you. As a Francesca, I really should. Anyway, Ms. Friedman was serving in a leave replacement position. And finally, the district will be holding a job fair next month for AIDS. Our next meeting will be closed, as all of our meetings are, on Thursday, February 8th, 8:15. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is policy with Beth.
Policy Committee met on January 24th, welcoming Adam Bierman and Eleanor Hubbard as new members. Adam and Eleanor joined board members, Betsy Baglio, Susan Cantor, and myself on the committee as board members. And we work with Dr. Foster and Matt and our other business administrators. We heard from the Director of Guidance, John McMichael, regarding a proposed addition to Policy 5600, Student Discipline Code of Conduct, to reflect current district practice with respect to non-disclosure of student behavior infractions to post-secondary institutions, based on the belief that past decisions are not necessarily indicators of future behavior. We will return to this topic at our next meeting. We moved several policies that reflect recent changes in the law or current district practice on to first and second read, which you'll see tonight on the agenda, noting that regulations implementing these policies require one more time for administrative review. The committee asked for more information when available on district implementation of the threat assessment teams, which is policy 2419, and how these teams will be integrated into other existing systems of support for students. The committee discussed the annual board calendar and requested that in the future, the board's reorganization calendar include set dates for 2 goal-setting retreats, as well as dates required for the annual superintendent evaluation. The committee next meets at 3:45 p.m. on February 7th, and the public is welcome to attend.
Thank you, Beth. Next up is student achievement with Betsy Baglio.
Thank you. We met early in the year, January 9th at 10:30 on Zoom. We welcomed Eleanor to the committee. We welcomed Debbie back to the committee. Susan and Daphne and I also serve on the committee, and we thank Dr. Tu for all of her ongoing work to move the items in this committee. We spoke about the middle school adult living skills program, which was terrific. We heard about the elementary math pilot of the Reveal Math program, and also some new ideas for college counseling and how to organize that program at our high school. So to be announced, but that would start for next year. But we thank our staff very much for joining us. We then adjourn to closed session. We meet next February 9th at 11 a.m. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. And just briefly, for the equity committee,
We meet, our kickoff meeting for the year will be February 12th here in this space at 6 p.m. We welcome the committee, the community and the committee to join us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Brian?
I just wanted to ask a quick question about student achievement in college counseling. Is there a resource component to that? In the past, there's been a question about whether we have sufficient number of staff dedicated
We
to
did
that important function.
talk quite about that. So the idea is thinking about how we have one terrific college counselor for all of our students and how we can sort of think about programs she can offer students, especially junior year, maybe in more of a module program where she meets with some students together rather than a lot of one-on-one, and also bringing in our school counselors more into the program to work with every student. So the idea is to provide more services to all of our students, as well as students not interested in a 4-year college path after high school, but other post-secondary options as well. So we gave some feedback, and I think they'll come back to us with some more specifics. Thanks.
Thank you. So moving on now, policies, first reading and second reading. And then personnel, the superintendent recommends. And all of this is discussed in committee, and personnel is closed, so it's not discussed in public, but the rest of our committees all have open sessions. So again, if anyone has any questions, stop me, but I'll go through it. M1 appointments, M2 resignations, M3 transfer reassignments, M4 PREA salary guide, M5 PRESA aids, M6 personnel items, M7 curriculum and instruction, M8 student services, M9 leave of absence, M10 substitute student placement, M11 athletic appointments, that's for the spring sports, so spring's coming. M12 job description, and M13 settlement agreement. Moving on now to curriculum and instruction, N1 grant application, ESEA for fiscal year 24, application amendment, ESSER 3, and student day field trips. Then we're moving on to item, bless you, O1 special education agreement. And then we have O2 and O3 resolution for residency appeal. Moving on now to P1, the annual school district audit that Mr. McDonald mentioned. M2, is that P2, sorry, that's an action item. Can I get a motion? Brian, second. Beth, sorry, Susan, I was looking right at you.
They look alike.
Wow. Yeah.
Daphne Kendall.
Abstain?
Daphne Kendall.
Abstain?
Betsy Baglio.
Yes.
Beth Barron.
Yes.
Adam Bierman.
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld.
Yes.
Mara Franceschi.
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard.
Yes.
Susan Cantor.
Yes.
Brian McDonald.
Yes.
Robert Christopher.
Yes.
Our motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. P4, P3 is the fire and evacuation drills. P4 is that 10 gig network that Mr. McDonald was talking about. P5 is registration travel agenda. P6 is the formal bid award HVAC, which Mr. McDonald was talking about. P7. P7, the tech consulting contract. P8, professional services attorney. P9, strategic communication services, which Mara was talking about. And then we are again applying on P10 for an EPA clean school bus application, fingers crossed. All right, now moving on to our next public comment. Is there anyone left who would like to speak to us?
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Please just state your name.
Yes.
He was here before, right?
I-
Yeah, I know, but it was
Chris
a bit of a long
Potts,
meeting.
Poe Road,
Yep.
Little Brook.
Hello.
I have already said what I came here to do. But after having been to my very first Princeton Board of Education meeting.
Welcome.
And saw what happened tonight.
Mhm.
I was also here before the meeting started in the group, and I luckily sat next to a group of people that were very vocal tonight. Luckily is not the right word I would use. And I noticed that one board member in particular, Mr. Bierman, came over before the meeting started and was very friendly with the anti-inclusive group. I don't know what else to call them, shaking hands and joking, oh, you'll lose one vote if you can't do that. I don't know exactly what was said, but I feel like the people of Princeton deserve to know that. And of course, diverse political views are completely welcomed. But in the case of a board of education, it's often difficult to understand where board members actually stand on really important issues like this one
I'll tell
seems
you.
to be.
Excuse me.
So I just
Mr.
want to make sure that
I'm
what
sorry.
I saw here is reflected in the record and people understand. That's all.
Thank you very much. And usually our board, if you come early, you get a good seat. And usually our board meetings are much calmer. Well, I don't really think I can say that, but anyway, we hope them to be. All right. And with that, is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Oh, that's a comment? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was talking to. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I agree. It looks like this is a perfect time to talk, even nobody hear you talk. But so what I really want to say is that I just want to I have a quick comment, right? I look at the material that's supposedly to be taught by high tops. I think as a board, right, we shouldn't be introducing such a divisive topic into this. Because we see it all over the news when other districts introduce this topic to the school, there are arguments, right? Wherever you come from, there are arguments. I don't think we need to do that. I don't know if there's any contract renewal coming up or something going on. We need to at least look at their curriculum and say, just get rid of this, right? The other portion is fine, but this portion, just hold on, right? These kids are too young, 12, 13, 14-year-old. I don't think, if a lot of people are talking about love today in today's meeting, right? If you introduce oppressed and privileged, is that really something we want to teach people about love, right? You basically divide people into groups, right? Because I came from China. I mean, some people told me on the Facebook, you should not be using oppressed versus oppressor, right? Because there's really no oppressor in this. It's a privilege. But still, if you are privileged or you are oppressed, the natural question will be, what are you going to do, right? If you are oppressed, what are you going to do? If you are privileged, what are you going to do? Think about, I'm not white. Think about if there's a white kid sitting in that classroom, right? He was very close to the center of the power in that wheel. These are 13-year-old, 14-year-old. How do you want them to feel, right? What do you think the topic will be on the playground? Whether it's a joking around, whether it's just a play around, it's not going to be comfortable at a certain point. Why do we want to do that? So my point is, it is what it is. It's already presented to the school, to the kids. When the renewal comes up, maybe you need to talk to them. Well, this material we probably don't want to introduce to the school. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll just say the material, regardless of who is presenting it, will continue to be presented in our schools.
So there'll be no change.
I'm sorry, who's not? Did you want to speak?
Yeah. Rob Walzer, Mount Lucas. I just want to say thank you for exactly what you just said there. Since we had a vocal group in one way, I want to make sure that the people still here who are supportive of what the board is doing are vocal as well. So thank you all.
Thank you. Moving on now to R1, which is the consent agenda. Can I get a motion? Betsy, second, Brian.
Daphne Kendall,
Yes.
Betsy Baglio,
Yes.
Beth Barron,
Yes.
Adam Bierman,
Yes.
Debbie Ronfeld,
Yes.
Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Consent agenda passes.
Okay, thank you. So we have S1 closing comments of the board. I'll just say that February 5th, don't go in the pack. You'll miss everything. 6 o'clock, there's babysitting. Is there refreshments?
So we are providing beverages so that student organizations can sell some delicious baked goods because we didn't want to compete. And also please bring canned goods for Yes, We Can.
Thank you. And so people should bring cash, right?
Oh, yes, bring cash. No Venmo, I don't think. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And then on Tuesday, the 6th, so that's at the high school, 6 o'clock on Monday. It doesn't look like there's going to be any snow, so I think we're good. And then Tuesday at 7:30, we're going to go over the budget. That'll be fun. And then we will have some time to talk about long-term planning. Yes, did I miss anything? Anything else coming up next week?
Sorry.
Yes, we'll talk later. All right. And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn, please? Mara, second, Beth, all in favor? All right. Have a good night. Thank you, Kaz.